Swayze Hive. Stand up.
Swayze's the best, man.
I'm Erin,
I'm Tom.
and this is Baby's First Watch List. We're here with our final episode because it doesn't get any better than this.
Yeah, this is not our final episode.
Today we're discussing the 1991 Before We Were Born crime action classic Point Break.
Yeah, and it was awesome.
It was awesome. I loved it. This movie was written by W. Peter Iliff.
Yeah.
No Wikipedia page. The story was by him and Rick King, best known for
My king.
writing Point Break and 2015's Point Break.
Okay, well, they got one of the people back, I guess.
But what I'll say is this. Allegedly, the screenplay was also like heavily
By our guy.
doctored by James Cameron.
James Cameron.
So the movie was directed by Queen Catherine Bigelow.
They were married at the time, right?
They were.
Cameron and Bigelow.
Yes. And she is the first woman to win the Best Director statue at the Academy Awards.
Yes. Hurt Locker?
Unfortunately, it was not for this movie.
It was Hurt Locker, right?
It was for the Hurt Locker.
Which she beat Avatar for.
Yes.
Which is great because
Yes.
they were divorced by that time.
They were only married for 2 years.
Oh, really?
1989 to 1991.
Wow.
Yeah.
It must have been because he was mad that she made a better movie than Terminator 2.
I guess so. But they
Terminator
were
2 rules. I'm just kidding.
they were together for a long time.
Before that?
Yeah.
Okay.
So she had directed Near Dark, which is like a vampire movie.
I've seen it. It's good. I want to rewatch it.
The Hurt Locker. Zero
Bill Paxton.
Bill
is Near Dark.
Paxton. Zero Dark 30. She began the development of Point Break in 1986 with James Cameron, who I think she was probably dating at the time.
And he would have been on board to help or direct this if he wasn't already working on Terminator 2, I feel like.
Right. And so James Cameron, he's a very famous director.
He's James Cameron.
Yeah. Titanic, Avatar. True Lies, Terminator 2. Okay. So the Aliens. He's got hits, bro.
He does.
But so does Catherine Bigelow.
She does.
Like Point Break.
Exactly.
One of the best movies ever made.
Yep.
The cinematographer Donald Peterman is a 2-time Oscar nominee. This is so random. So for shooting, he shot Flashdance.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know who directed Flashdance?
No.
The same guy who did Unfaithful, Adrian
Lyne?
Yeah.
Really?
I did not know he did Flashdance.
Okay.
That's wild. And he also was nominated for shooting Star Trek IV, The Voyage Home.
He was nominated for that?
Right? I'm like confused.
That's kind of awesome.
Okay. He worked with like a lot of famous directors. He did a lot of John Hughes movies like Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, which we did an episode on. Men in Black and How the Grinch Stole Christmas.
3 classics right there.
They really are. They actually are. The music was by Mark Isham, who did the music for like a ton of movies or contributed to soundtracks for like a ton of movies. And he was Oscar and Grammy nominated for the Clint Eastwood movie A River Runs Through It.
Okay.
Which I've never seen.
Have not seen either.
The 122-minute movie stars Keanu Reeves.
Is there no adjective because it's just a whatever?
Yeah.
It's all right? Okay.
Because it's just
fine. 122 movies.
Yeah. Minutes.
Minutes.
Patrick Swayze, Gary Busey, and Lori Petty. And Lori Petty, everybody knows who Gary Busey is.
You just got to know who Gary Busey is.
I don't think I've ever seen another thing he's been in, but I know who he is.
I definitely have, but I can't really think of it.
Probably like Leprechaun 3 or something.
I'll find
Lori Petty played Gina Davis's sister in A League of Their Own.
Yes.
And so she was in Free Willy too. And then she's been doing a lot of TV in the past decade. So that's her. The movie was originally called Johnny Utah.
Yeah.
Which is Keanu Reeves' character's name.
Great movie name, but wouldn't have been a great movie title.
Exactly. The movie was filmed in Utah, California, and Oregon. And they actually did some training in, I think it was Kauai.
Okay.
In Hawaii. I might be lying there.
I've seen Gary Busey in one other thing.
What is it?
Under Siege with Steven Seagal.
Oh, I've seen that too.
Yeah, he was also in like Lethal Weapon, Black Sheep with
Chris
Farley, Piranha, stuff like that. He was nominated for an Oscar for the Buddy Holly story.
Oh, cool. Okay, yeah. So Point Break was released in the middle of July 1991, and it opened at number 4 at the box office behind James Cameron's Terminator 2 Judgment Day, 101 Dalmatians re-release, and Boys in the Hood.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which is a great movie.
Yeah.
Overall, it made
Listen to our Boys in the Hood episode.
It's so good. Overall, it made $103.5 million on a $24 million dollar budget, and it kind of like did really well overseas, like internationally and domestically. It kind of made the same amount. It did pretty well critically as well, netting a 70% on Rotten Tomatoes.
That's higher than I would have thought.
And I happen to know one guy who was a big fan of this movie. That's a movie critic.
Who?
Roger Ebert.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you to guess, but I was so happy.
I would not have guessed.
I was so happy
rating.
when I read his review, which we'll get to.
He's just so wonderful.
He gets it, man.
So since its release, Point Break has become a cult classic, and I saw that cult classic was like underlined in Wikipedia, so I clicked it. And if you don't know, like some people just don't know, like a cult classic movie is a movie that maybe disappointed, critically, commercially when it was released, and then later on down the line it sort of found its audience or made more money or ended up like being seen as like, no wait, this is actually a really good movie.
Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory is one of them, which we talked about a long time ago.
People either enjoy it like wholeheartedly or ironically,
The Room.
and like The Room, and
wholeheartedly for us.
It is. Every single time I see The Room, it gets better and better. I'm not joking. So it was interesting though, because it was like lists of cult classic films, but then like they have A as a whole separate Wikipedia page, B as a whole separate one. Yeah. So there are a ton of movies, like even something like The Princess Diaries is considered a cult classic from that list.
Sure.
And they said that they don't count movies that are specifically made to be cult classics, like, no, don't try and do that. It's kind of like the difference between Barbenheimer and Saw Patrol.
Yes.
Right?
If you don't know what Saw Patrol is.
So Saw 10 is coming out the same weekend as the new Paw Patrol movie. So people are trying to do the Barbenheimer thing.
The studio moved Saw up a week so that it would be on the same weekend as Paw Patrol, so that the studio could manufacture Saw Patrol.
Exactly. That doesn't count.
No.
So no one is going to do that.
No.
Just as
it is funny, but it would have been funny if it was organic.
It's a very funny name, actually. I thought Saw Patrol kind of worked.
And the contrast between the two.
Yeah. But just like that, a movie studio that tries to create a cult classic on its own, no. A bunch of the movies we've covered have been cult classics. Like Pitch Perfect actually was one.
Really?
And then a lot of movies that we just watch are, for example, we watched Akira.
Yeah. Akira.
What is it?
Akira.
They
yelled it like 50 times in the movie.
I didn't really watch it. It wasn't my thing.
You gave it a shot,
which
I respect.
I gave it an attempt. It didn't work for me. And Paris, Texas, we watched recently, which I liked that one scene. You liked it a lot.
I liked it a lot.
I prefer the cult classics that are like
Rocky Horror Picture Show,
Pop Star, Never Stop, Never Stopping. The stuff that's like just like absurd.
Yeah,
that's my thing. But teach their own. This one, for example, Roadhouse, for example.
Oh yeah,
these are cult classics that I really drive with. So 2001's The Fast and the Furious was actually made and envisioned as a reimagining of Point Break. So even though it's technically based on The Fast and the Furious is based on like a article from a magazine, it truly is imagined as a reimagining of Point Break.
Somebody read the article in the magazine and said, this is like Point Break.
Right. And as you were watching it, you were like, that is exactly what happened in the Fast and the
original
Furious.
Fast and the Furious, yes, before they became the Avengers,
right?
Around Fast 5.
There is a theater show called Point Break Live,
which I will get to.
So you're going to talk about
that. I have a big Point Break Live segment later.
It's also mentioned quite a bit in the wonderful Hot Fuzz.
Oh yeah,
a great Edgar Wright movie that actually has an homage to a very famous scene where Keanu Reeves has the chance to get the bad guy and chooses not to.
Yes.
So, there's also a sequel that, to be honest with you, is not really worth mentioning at all. That was released in 2015. It has like people in it that like.
It was a sequel?
Or sorry, no, it was a remake.
Oh, I was gonna say.
I was a remake, and it's like
Roadhouse had a sequel that like no one watched.
No.
The
And this one, it was like there honestly can't really be a sequel to Point Break because like all the characters
we're
are no longer around.
We're gonna get to that question later on. I decided that I wanted to start taking listener questions and like really like start getting that going. So if you have any questions about any of our upcoming episodes, DM us anywhere, email us at babiesfirstwatchlist@gmail.com. But we got a question this week, and it was about sequels to Point Break, so we'll get to that later.
Okay. And so, so Point Break is considered a very cool, awesome movie by us.
Yes.
I loved it.
Yes.
Like, I loved it. Even though I fell asleep a tiny bit.
I really liked it as I was watching it. It did feel a tiny bit long, but then when I thought about it today and as I was doing like a little bit of research for this, it's great. It's excellent.
It is. So why don't you give us you're doing it like a shorter summary?
I'm trying to abridge the plot summaries because like you're either not listening to them because you've already seen the movie or because you haven't seen the movie or, you just need a refresher.
Right.
So I'm going to try to shorten it up a little bit.
Spice it up.
Okay.
Zhuzh it.
So, rookie FBI agent Johnny Utah, played by Keanu Reeves,
Best name ever.
Experienced agent Angelo Papas, played by Gary Busey, investigate a string of bank robberies by a gang called the Ex-Presidents. The Ex-Presidents wear Halloween masks of former presidents Ronald Reagan, Jimmy Carter, Richard Nixon, and Lyndon B. Johnson, and they rob banks in 90 seconds. They don't get greedy. They don't go to the vault. They're in and out. They just get the teller, and they're out. Pursuing Pappas' theory, Johnny infiltrates the surfing community, where he meets Tyler, played by, what's her name? Lori Petty?
Lori Petty.
A surfer and waitress who helps him learn to surf. She also introduces him to Bodie, played by Patrick Swayze, the charismatic leader of a gang of surfers consisting of Roach, Gromit, and Nathaniel.
Imagine you're like, yeah, I'm Nathaniel. That's Roach. That's Gromit.
I'm
Nathaniel.
Gromit apparently means like a young and experienced surfer.
Oh, okay. Is that like Wallace and Gromit?
It's spelled differently.
Okay.
Johnny wins Bodie over through a game of beach football, which is a great scene. And Bodie later saves him from getting jumped by a rival group of surfers.
Oh, yeah.
One of them played by Anthony Kiedis from Red Hot Chili Peppers.
It's awesome.
Johnny finds himself allured by Tyler, Bodie's philosophizing about life, and the pure thrill of surfing. Bodie tells Johnny about the 50-year storm, a coming weather event in Australia that would create massive waves, and how it's his life's dream to surf those waves. Later on, following a clue, Johnny and Papas lead a FBI raid on the gang that jumped Johnny, killing two of them and ruining an undercover DEA investigation, ultimately learning that they are not the ex-presidents. Do you know who that undercover guy was?
He was like out of pocket.
Do you know who the actor? It was Tom Sizemore.
Oh my
He was uncredited.
Gosh. I was like, I actually was going to say to you, like,
he looked familiar.
Number one, he looked a little familiar. Number two, he was like actually really good.
A good actor, yeah.
And number three, it was like, this guy came out of nowhere, no scenes before this, and he went 100.
Yeah.
He was out 100. Where it was like,
he did get shot in the previous scene.
Oh, okay.
Johnny,
right,
I think, shot at him.
Yeah, but it's like, okay, but
he wasn't like a character.
A character.
Right.
So I was just
it's not like it was Anthony Kiedis who was undercover.
Right.
Because he had a specific scene.
Why is this guy out of pocket?
Because it was Tom Sizemore. Maybe there's a
Sizemore.
deleted scene too where they established that character a little bit more.
That his show was on VH1. It was like sad.
Okay.
And it was like a bio show.
Oh,
I
okay.
didn't watch it. It was very depressing.
Okay. Good talk.
He was in Saving Private Ryan, right?
Yes, he was. I think so. One day, watching Bodie and his gang surfing, Johnny begins to suspect that maybe they are the ex-presidents because, no joke, one of the guys moons the crew in the same way that one of the bank robbers mooned the security camera.
But it's like funny because all of their like clues and hints on who it could be are such like leaps of logic anyway.
Yeah.
That it's like, yeah, all right.
Like when they track down the other group and was because Busey was like, I think it's because in this area of the water there's only this mineral and this metal and
And
this.
it's from a like a metal, like a waste being poured in the ocean at that
Yeah,
point.
so they go and Keanu like rips people's hair out of their heads on the beach and then just like puts it in a bag and they test the hair and it matches for these certain minerals. It's like the most absurd thing. And that's the part, those are the parts that they just blow by, that they just expect you to accept. And I do accept them.
Yeah, of course. So then this one, it's like, okay, yeah.
Yeah, sure. His butt from 200 yards away. Sure, I can believe that he sees that. As Johnny tries to stop the ex-president's next heist, he begins chasing the Reagan mask-wearing robber on foot.
This scene was amazing.
They're running through the city and they're running down into like the aqueducts or whatever you call those parts
Through houses.
Yeah. Johnny slips, and although he has a clear shot, he locks eyes with Reagan and ultimately allows him to escape, repeatedly shooting into the air instead and screaming the F word over and over.
It was amazing.
At a campfire.
That's the big scene
that's the iconic shot, is
Yeah.
him like on his side with the gun, yeah.
and then shooting in the air going,
Yep.
ah!
At a campfire shortly thereafter, Bodie and his gang confirm to the audience that they are the ex-presidents.
And everyone's like,
Yeah, obviously.
no. How many people in the audience do you think are like shocked?
Probably more than you think.
Yeah, I think so too.
Meanwhile, Tyler breaks up with Johnny after finding his FBI badge, and she like shoots the pillow next to him in the bed.
Again, like, why do you have a gun?
Bodie shows up at Johnny's apartment and takes him skydiving, bringing him back into the fold with vibes.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is the whole thing.
Legit, he's like, hey, this is fun, right?
And they're like falling through the air, and he's like, Johnny, what do you think? And he's like, this is amazing.
They're
the
legit
best.
just skydiving.
When they land, Bodie tells him he had his friend Rosie kidnap Tyler.
He's like, hey, I want to show you something. It's like literally a video of Tyler being kidnapped.
Yes. And Bodie blackmails Johnny into helping the ex-president's final bank robbery of the summer, wrapping it up nicely. When Bodie gets greedy and looks to take money from the vault, Gromit is killed along with a bank guard and an off-duty cop. Bodie knocks out Johnny and leaves the bank. Papas and Johnny defy their superior officer and head to the airport to stop the ex-presidents from leaving, but Angelo and Papas and Nathaniel are both killed, and Roach is seriously wounded in an ensuing shootout. With Roach aboard the plane, Bodie forces Johnny on as well at gunpoint to go to Mexico. On the plane, why did he do that?
I don't know.
I don't know, whatever.
Keep the story going.
On the plane, Bodie and Roach take the two parachutes and jump, leaving Johnny up there alone. So what does Johnny do? He just hurls himself out of the plane with no parachute. He catches Bodie in the air, and eventually, instead of shooting him, he pulls the parachute thing, and it unfurls, and they safely-ish fall to the ground. Bodie escapes Johnny's grasp, and he has Rosie release Tyler as agreed. Tyler and Johnny reunite as Bodie and Rosie leave with the money while Roach dies of his wounds. They just like left him there. They were like, we don't have time to bury him.
Yeah.
9 months later, Johnny tracks Bodie to Bell's Beach in Australia, the site of what else but the 50-year storm. Johnny catches Bodie on the beach, but Bodie refuses to go into custody and the two brawl. As Bodie tries to drown Johnny, Johnny handcuffs himself to him as the police begin to arrive. But when Bodie begs Johnny to release him so he can ride the wave like he's always wanted to, Johnny just lets him go.
He says, okay.
Yeah, but he does it because he knows he's not coming back alive. While the authorities watch Bodie surf to his death, Johnny walks away, throwing his FBI badge into the ocean. Bang. Credits. Point Break.
Excellent movie.
So good. It's the best.
It is.
This is like my perfect movie. It's a little long, though, as I mentioned.
It is a little long. I
10, 15 minutes too long.
I wasn't bored, and I still drifted at the end.
Yeah.
Okay, so what makes Patrick Swayze one of your favorite actors?
It's multiple things. He's got range. Even among his action roles, compare this to his role in Roadhouse.
Mm-hmm.
In Roadhouse, he is similarly zen, but one character is a complete maniac and the other character is like an upstanding guy.
Mm-hmm.
He can play both. He can play the middle. I'm sure he's different in Ghost. I'm sure he's different in Dirty Dancing.
He is.
And I think
and in Tu Wong Fu.
Sure. And he has, and probably in Donnie Darko, but I haven't seen that movie in forever.
Mm-hmm.
He just, I think he's extremely versatile, and he has like gravitas to him.
Mm-hmm.
And I sort of connect with him, maybe because he died young. I sort of connect with him in the same way that I connect with John Candy. Like, I just feel like I get his vibe and what he's going for. And I think that he sort of subverts a lot of the stereotypes of a jacked, good-looking actor.
Mm-hmm.
He adds something a little bit different to all of his roles, which we've talked about in the Roadhouse episode.
Yeah.
How he's just a different type of action star.
Well, to me, it's like, yeah, he's a different type of action star. He's more about like he's svelte and he's got the dance moves because he grew up. His mom owned a ballet studio, and he can do the martial arts, and so it's just a different thing than like the other action stars at the time, and also he feels like women wouldn't want to talk to Arnold Schwarzenegger. You know what I mean?
He feels genuine too.
Yeah. Like
as an actor, you feel like you're getting part of his real personality in each of his roles.
Right, exactly. And he's so cute.
He is.
He is, I know.
He's the best.
He's the best. And he's just a great actor. I just love him.
Another comparison between this and Roadhouse. In Roadhouse, Sam Elliott is kind of the guy that sort of steals the show a little bit of like because he has the more flashy part.
Mm-hmm.
But Swayze can let other people cook, and then he can be the guy that's the main focus, like he is in this one.
He's got the it factor for sure. Do you think that this is a movie that could be remade effectively today? I know that like there was a remake in 2015, but we're discounting that. Yeah. Do you think that this is something that could be done today?
Yes.
You do?
I think it's a simple story. Well, it was done in 2001.
Yeah, that's true.
But I think it's a simple story between two guys really that are sort of they have a connection, and whether that connection it's like an age-old thing with Keanu's character. Like you get in too deep, into the surfing community or whatever community it is. And I think that we're probably a lot better suited for good surfing footage. The stuff in this movie was excellent, but I haven't seen the 2015 one, but I think that just the technology would make me think that it would look great. But I actually wrote down people that I could see playing each of the roles.
Oh, great.
I meant to do a director because I feel like it takes a particular director to hit the tone correctly. I can't really think. I don't know. For some reason, the only person I can think of right now is Ari Aster. Oh. But I don't know if it would be this type of movie, but I could see him doing something like that. But okay, so starting with Johnny Utah has to be somebody who might kind of be cool, look cool, but is also kind of young and inexperienced and a little bit lanky and can sort of, like I mentioned before, sort of let Swayze cook or let Bodhi cook. So the couple people that I wrote down are Dev Patel, Henry Golding, and Richard Madden. I feel like all three of those guys are cool enough by themselves, but you could see them sort of learning something from somebody else and sort of trying to be like that other person.
Those are excellent choices.
Yeah. So, I know. No, I know. Bodhi, I wrote, Bodhi needs some kind of gravitas, but he also has to be a really cool like action star that's capable of warmth. Because you like Bodhi in the movie.
Yeah.
He's
it's Swayze.
Yeah. So I wrote down actually a bunch of people for this. First person I wrote, I said I haven't seen him play a warm role yet, but I could, if he was able to tap into that, I could see Alexander Skarsgård playing that type of character. I also have my alternative choices, which don't quite fit, but maybe. Oscar Isaac 10 years ago. Donald Glover.
That's a good one.
The ones that I wrote down that I think are my legit choices, I have 4 of them. I have Chris Hemsworth.
Okay.
I have Jason Momoa.
Okay.
I have Daniel Kaluuya. And I have John Boyega.
Yeah.
I think that all 4 of those guys, some more than others, like I think it might be a tiny bit of a leap for Hemsworth, but have that sort of charisma. And I just feel like Hemsworth, if he was allowed to be his real personality, like in some of the Thor movies, he would be able to sort of be that Zen type. I feel like he's that type of guy.
Yeah.
I just get that impression from him. Boyega, ever since we watched, forget what the movie was called, but it's now called Breaking. I think he can do whatever he wants.
He's amazing.
And Kaluuya, the same thing. Kaluuya also seems like the type of guy who could talk like Swayze talks in this movie and sort of have the mysticism to him, And Jason Momoa is Aquaman, so I feel like that's
Oh my,
and he's an action star,
he's
and
got long hair.
he's also chill. So yeah,
He hosted Shark Week.
he did host Shark Week. So Tyler, I would change the character completely.
You know, it's so funny because like with Tyler, I did not enjoy that role
Yeah,
personally, but I saw something on Wikipedia about how like people praise the relationship between Johnny and Tyler because it felt equal, which is something that a lot of movies, obviously back then it wasn't the case. Like and also it blended kind of masculinity and femininity where it's like they kind of met each other in the middle. And I found that actually kind of intriguing. So it made me like the role a little bit more.
I don't know if I can fully get on board with that because it was all based on him lying to her, first of all.
That wasn't great.
And he basically lied and said that his parents died in a car crash or something because
he
he
looked her up
knew
and knew that she
in the FBI database that
had that
her,
happen.
yeah,
and I thought that was going to be a
bigger point.
well, not just that, but I thought that like it was like the start of like, oh, see, Johnny Utah, he's not this nice guy that
Right.
you think he is, and it's like,
No, he
nah,
pretty
he's a
much
nice guy.
is.
He just lied about that.
He pretty much is. I wrote that I would give her more agency because part of the plot is that she's just a victim and she's taken hostage. I would maybe make her one of the people in the gang, you know, like
I thought that was maybe going to be one of the choices.
Yeah. But the people that I wrote down are Haley Steinfeld,
Oh yeah.
Zazie Beetz,
Yeah.
Keke Palmer,
Mhm.
and a little bit of a reach one, but maybe Maya Hawke.
Nice.
Those would be my people that I would recast Tyler
You're like
as.
killing it.
And finally, Papa's has to be somebody capable of just being insane,
Yeah.
but also being likable and not being a bad guy. He's a sort of a mess up, but he's a good cop. You know, he's a
Mhm.
good FBI agent. So I went with the 4 legends.
Okay.
Ethan Hawke.
Yeah, he's crazy.
I'm thinking like Good Lord Bird Ethan Hawke, where he plays John Brown and he's just absolutely wild.
That's good.
Michael Shannon.
Yeah, that's good.
Maybe less likable than the rest, but I think he could do it. Brendan Gleeson.
Oh yeah.
He's a little older, but I still think he can make it
Yeah.
work. I'm thinking The Guard.
Yeah.
And Nicolas Cage, of course.
That's good.
I think that any of those guys could. Busey is an animal unto himself,
Yeah.
but I think that those guys could turn it in their own way and be that sort of like chaotic force.
Do you know who I would cast in that role?
Who?
Marshawn Lynch.
Like in what is he in?
He's in
He's
the
in
new,
Bottoms.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's coming out.
I've only seen that. And I've seen like him in like a reality show.
He did a travel show or something,
yeah, or
didn't
something. He's really good. And I feel like he could do that.
he? Yeah, sure, why not? I could see Marshawn Lynch
Is that random?
as the Gary Busey role, yeah.
Is that random?
Well, the thing with being Gary Busey is you could make it anybody who's
Anything.
crazy.
Yeah. I feel like he could play crazy.
Yeah, probably.
Why not?
Okay, yeah. So I took your question and sort of like ran with it.
I love
I
that.
do think it could be remade effectively, but it would have to be with the right creative choices.
I agree with you. Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah.
To me it's
I have the same issue. I have the same worry about Roadhouse, you know?
yeah.
It's got to be done
that's it.
right.
It's hard to remake classic cult classics.
Cult classics that are well respected and loved for reasons other than what they were intended to be
Exactly.
respected and loved for.
That's going to be a toughie. So you mentioned Breaking,
Yes.
which is a movie we saw at Sundance when it was under a different name.
I keep thinking 579 or
Yeah,
something.
it's something like that. So that is a bank heist movie,
It is.
right? What are some of your favorite bank heist movies? And I wrote a couple down of bank heist movies that I've seen.
I turned it into just heist.
or just heist movies.
But we can just do bank. I'm good with that too.
No, it could be just heist.
Okay, go ahead.
So some of them. Now these aren't all necessarily my favorite movies, but I just thought that they're
I
interesting
wrote a bunch down
ones.
too that aren't necessarily my favorites.
Baby Driver.
Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of that.
I liked it. Hell or High Water.
That's up there for me.
It's so good. Logan Lucky.
Wrote that one.
Now You See Me.
I didn't write that one, but yeah.
I like that
because
movie.
didn't that come out? That was like 2012. It was like after the other magician movies. It was
Yeah.
like after The Prestige and The Illusionist.
Yeah, but it's a different
and it's
type.
right. So it was like sort of twisting those.
Yeah. I didn't see the sequel.
I didn't either.
All the Oceans movies are heisty.
Yeah, I liked the first one. The second one was okay. I didn't see any.
Yeah, it
after
was
that.
boring except for that one Julia
The
Roberts.
Julia
joke.
Roberts joke is great.
Reservoir Dogs,
Yep, I wrote that one.
Snatch.
Snatches, yeah. That's uncut Guy Ritchie right there.
Yeah. The Town. Remember that movie?
The Town was, I feel like, was huge for a year.
It was like everywhere.
It was massive, and then just wasn't.
Yeah.
Then it was
So
gone.
I don't know about that.
That was Renner after Hurt Locker, wasn't it?
It was like
You would've-
right after.
You would have thought that it would have been the opposite by the way the roles were.
Every day's Wednesday.
Yeah.
What are you
Happy
gonna do?
Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday. And then Dog Day Afternoon.
I wrote Dog Day Afternoon as well.
It's a fave.
So my top couple, I wrote Dog Day Afternoon. I wrote Hell or High Water. I wrote
What don't you want?
Inside Man, which is Denzel and Clive Owen.
Spike Lee.
Directed.
That's a good movie.
Yeah, that one is interesting because the whole movie is the heist, like
Yeah.
Dog Day Afternoon,
Yeah.
where Denzel is on the outside trying to get Clive Owen, who is inside, robbing the bank, and there's all these different twists, and like the ending is crazy, and it's so.
I
good.
enjoy one day movies.
Yeah. Inside Man is great too, though, because the second time I watched it, I knew it was Spike Lee. The first time I didn't, and there's some Spike Lee-isms in there that
It's not as
it's not as Spike Lee as you would think.
you
it
would think.
be.
Yeah.
But yeah. And then my other one is Drive.
Oh yeah, I like Drive.
The
I'm
whole
like
thing
really
is
cool film, bro.
yeah, exactly. Literally me for real.
Literally me for real. I love hyper violent Drive with bright neon colors and also Christina Hendricks
You got to get me the scorpion
being
jacket,
really cute and just scorpion jacket.
and then not being cute.
Oh, that hence the hyper violence. That scene I was like what? What am I doing here?
So I
Is
looked.
Bryan Cranston in that movie?
I don't know. I don't think so.
No, I swear to you,
Maybe he
Bryan
is.
Cranston's
Maybe he
in
is.
Drive.
Maybe he is.
Shout out to my Vanderpump Rules people. You know that movie. Okay, Drive movie. I swear to you, Bryan Cranston is. Yeah, he's in it.
Yeah, he is.
And so is Ron Perlman.
And so is Oscar Isaac.
Oscar Isaac. Well, he's Carey Mulligan's husband.
Yeah. Albert Brooks.
Do I need to rewatch Drive?
I think we should rewatch Drive.
Stupid
That
me.
director's wild.
Stupid me because I watched that next movie that he made.
The Place Beyond the Pines.
Oh my god! And I went
I
to
didn't
see
like
it
it at
in
all.
theaters, and I'm like, this movie's not good.
I didn't like it at all.
So there goes me.
The other couple I have are Widows,
Oh, it's a good
which
movie.
we really liked in theaters, and the second time it was a little bit less, but it's still a good movie.
Yep.
That one has an interesting concept. It's this group of or I don't know if they were robbing banks, but this group of guys who commit heists, and it was like Liam Neeson and John Bernthal and like all these people, and they die in the opening scene, and then it's about their wives needing to get the money to the people who they were robbing, whatever they were robbing
Or else
for.
they're getting in trouble.
Yeah. And there's Viola Davis's dog
Oh yeah,
is in it.
Olivia.
Yeah, Olivia, who was also in Game Night, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah. Speaking of stars.
Yes.
And there's a really good twist in it.
Yeah. I haven't seen some of the bigger heist movies like Heat,
Right.
Bonnie and Clyde, Jackie Brown.
Right.
But I also saw Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid on some lists, and that's
yeah.
not.
I mean, they steal stuff.
They do, but it's not about that.
I like that movie.
We could maybe count that, but I don't know. It's not really about stealing. It's about like the escape, and I don't know. Whatever.
Escape from what?
I guess. But the other one that I wrote down is Inception.
Yeah, that is a
'Cause
heist.
it is a
thing.
heist movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those are the ones that I wrote down.
Also, here's the thing. I don't love a lot of heist movies because I get nervous.
I feel like I used to watch a lot of heist movies. Like most of these I haven't seen in a long time.
I just feel like I get super nervous nowadays and always. I would always be like, oh my God, they're going to get in so much trouble.
That means that they're good movies. And they're getting you to feel how
Even when they weren't good movies. Even when they weren't.
Yeah. So that's heist movies, baby.
I think I have one more question for you.
You do.
Okay, so like you said, the bank robbers, they go as the ex-presidents. It's 4 ex-presidents, like pretty recent ex-presidents
At the time,
at the time.
they were the
recent
list of recent presidents.
which is so fun. What group of 4 would you like to see?
I'm trying to think whether it would be like in Halloween masks or
Teletubbies.
I wrote the South Park kids,
Oh, that's a good one.
Cartman, Kenny, Stan, and Kyle.
Yeah.
Just dress up like them.
I'd be like, who killed Kenny?
I wrote the Beatles.
Oh, that's good.
Just throw them in the
Oh,
mop
mop
tops.
tops.
Yep. Or you could do like the later Beatles, and you could have like the John Lennon with the circle glasses.
Yeah, that's
You
pretty good.
And the other one I wrote was, of course, the Golden Girls.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
Blanche, Sophia, Dorothy, and Rose.
Yeah, I think that's a really fun one. What about like, okay, you've got your top 3 F1 teams.
Oh my God, we're Formula One heads now, by the way.
And then whoever is like the 4th at that year.
Okay.
So
like
you got
McLaren.
Yeah, so you
would
got
be
your
4th.
like Ferrari, your Mercedes, your Red Bull.
Yeah.
And then, which we're behind a couple years, so if they're
Yeah,
not
yeah.
the
This
top
is the
3 teams
2019
right now.
standings. Or 2020, whatever.
And then like number 4 is like Renault or
Yeah.
like whatever. I think that would be
Oh,
fun.
Daniel Ricciardo robbed a bank. He would be so annoying.
There's your Australia connection.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, also, all right, listen to this. This is kind of off topic. So I was looking up shirts, like graphic tees, and I was at it was Abercrombie, and there were like, I'm not joking, Tom, 5 different McLaren t-shirts.
I hate that guy. That's the principal of McLaren.
I'm like, why are there 5 McLaren shirts? And I'm like, and then it's like, at the bottom you can click on the different ones.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, it's probably all the no, it's just different McLaren shirts.
That's
so
awesome.
There's that. You could go as the 4 Saoirse Ronan nominations she's had for Best Actress.
They would so easily find out who I was.
You would need a child, but that could work.
Yeah.
I don't see why not.
Yeah, no, I think that all sounds good.
You could go as like someone who's had a lot of ex-husbands.
Yeah.
Go as like the 4 ex-husbands.
Like
of
the
whoever.
Eurovision song that was all the wives of Henry VIII.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like the musical 6.
Yeah.
You could do like the Spice Girls once Jerry left.
I was gonna write the Spice Girls, but I didn't remember if there were 4 or 5.
There were 5, but then Jerry left. Ginger Spice.
Jerry married to the team principal of Red Bull Formula One Racing.
Yeah, Christian Horner. Yep.
They're still married, right?
They're still married.
Good. Glad to hear it.
You could be One Direction after Zayn left.
Yeah.
Which one would you want to be?
Well, that's kind of like, never mind. I'm not going to go there. Which one would I be?
Yeah.
I wouldn't be the leader. I wouldn't be Harry. Harry's the leader, right? I would assume.
Well, Harry and Zayn kind of were
Well,
the
after
leaders.
he leaves.
Yeah, I think Harry's the leader.
Yeah. I would be Liam Payne.
The one who has had like no success.
Correct.
Okay. That's fine.
Who's the other one? It's Louis and then
Niall.
Niall. I wouldn't have even remembered his name.
Niall's the Irish one. He's the blonde.
Okay.
He actually his songs.
I don't know what any
good.
of them look like except for Harry and Zayn.
Okay, you could go as Taylor Swift eras.
Yeah, or Taylor Swift exes.
Yeah, you could do that. Which Taylor Swift era would you be?
Fearless.
Taylor's version.
No. Was it Scooter Braun's
Scooter
version?
Braun's version. Do you know Scooter Braun and Justin Bieber just broke up?
Okay.
Yeah, he was his manager for 15 years.
Wow.
So those are all the questions I had.
Yeah. Just to clarify, I would not be Scooter Braun's version. Okay. This is the question that I think has torn the world apart. Is Keanu Reeves a good actor?
Yes.
If so, why?
Because have you seen Point Break?
Yes, I have.
First of all right. Number 1, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Okay.
I saw
Counterpoint,
that.
Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey.
No, I count that towards a plus. I saw that twice.
I've never actually seen Bogus Journey.
Twice, 2 years in a row, going on a bus trip to Washington, D.C. in high school.
Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure is great.
It's excellent.
Yeah.
So that's it. Did you know? Okay. Also, with Point Break, you know how they only rob banks from June to September because they chase an endless summer.
Only Rob Banks here.
Well, because they chase an endless summer.
Yeah.
In 5th grade, we spent like a week watching the documentary Endless Summer in math class.
Isn't that a weird one?
It's a documentary about surfers who
surfing.
just
Oh,
travel
okay.
around the
I
world.
might be thinking of something else.
Is it inappropriate? I don't remember.
Okay.
It was the same year I watched Gladiator in school. So
Great. Great.
what does that tell you? So yes, number 1, case in point, Bill and Ted. Number 2, Speed.
Speed is great. Is he a good actor, though?
Yes. Yeah.
I think he's...
You don't think he's good in John Wick?
I think...
I'm thinking I'm back.
I think he's good now because of that.
So he's good.
I think
You don't think he was good in Point Break?
I think that
He had
he
so
was
much chemistry with Patrick Swayze.
I think that he was acted off the map by Patrick Swayze in this movie.
I disagree. I actually think that
But
he showed range.
But there were so many bad actors in this movie that Keanu was good. He was one of the better ones.
He's amazing.
I'm talking about like the side characters that were all.
Have you ever seen The Lake House?
Listen, it was Swayze. It was
I don't even
Busey.
think is he in that?
It was Tom Sizemore, and then it was Keanu. In terms of
Yeah,
the
Tom
best actors in
Sizemore
this
was
movie.
actually really good. Okay, so he's great.
Constantine bad. I did not like
I
Constantine.
did not see that.
But I think he found himself with John Wick.
He's amazing.
You know what else? He was also great in Hardball. I will give you that.
There you go. What about Any Given No, The Replacements?
Replacements. I regret to admit that I have not seen The Replacements, but I did reference it when we were
Oofsies.
watching this movie.
That's gotta hurt. What else is he in?
Keanu Reeves.
He's also an extremely nice person.
Something's Gotta Give. He was really good in.
Oh, he was really good in Something's Gotta Give. He was also in Always Be My Maybe.
The Matrix.
Oh, when he was in The
It's like
Matrix.
the 14th movie we named was The Matrix.
We didn't
Which we
watch
haven't
that.
seen.
Always Be My Maybe. He was really funny. It was like sort of like
It was
a
like a Netflix.
like a meta movie.
Yeah.
Like it's a meta part for him.
My Own Private Idaho. Is apparently great.
Oh, with River Phoenix.
Yeah.
The Pop Shop in Collingswood.
Yes.
They have a meal called My Own Private Idaho.
That is great.
And it's like
It's
eggs
like a potato.
and potatoes.
Yeah. What do we have here? Johnny Mnemonic. Oh, no. He did a bunch of Matrix movies. Then he did Something's Gotta Give. Then he did Constantine. He did The Day the Earth Stood Still, which I haven't seen.
Mm-hmm.
He did. Then we're getting into like John Wick. He did Keanu.
Oh,
The Key
okay,
and
with
Peele
the
movie?
cat.
He was the cat. Yeah.
So, all right, he's got hits.
Destination Wedding. Toy Story 4.
Oh, right, he's like the Evil Knievel guy.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he's.
So I think your question has been answered.
I'm thinking he's back.
Yeah, he's amazing.
The thing with him is he picks great stuff that suits him.
He's never been nominated for an Oscar, right?
I don't think so. He picks stuff that suits him. Like this movie suits him.
Very much
But
so.
this was the first one that he did, I think, that was not like a straight up comedy or a rom-com or something like
What
that.
about Speed? Was this before Speed?
This was before Speed. But I remember because I read that people were sort of reticent, like the studio was reticent about casting him because they didn't think that he had this in him, like had like a serious kind of, he's generally serious in this movie. But Catherine Bigelow apparently was like, no, I want him. Like, I think he's the guy.
He's perfect.
Yeah. Okay. Johnny Utah is an incredible movie name. Like,
Yes.
there's just names that are perfect for a movie character that you will never hear in real life.
Mm-hmm.
Johnny Utah is one of those names.
Well, until we have a second kid.
Until we have our second child, who
Johnny
will first name
Utah.
Johnny, middle name Utah. Book it.
If we do that, that would be amazing. I'm not even joking. I do like that name.
Well, we'll talk about it. So, what are some of your favorite other names like that are movie names?
Okay.
Capital M movie names.
The one I thought of was Kaiser Sose.
I named 10, and I was like, I have to stop myself. Kaiser Soze is an excellent one, not one that I wrote down.
Okay, good.
Kaiser Soze also, one of the other characters in that movie, The Usual Suspects, is named Verbal Kint.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's interesting.
That's Kevin Spacey's character.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I also, it sounds so stupid, but like, I love that in Bring It On, the main character's name is Torrance, and it's
Torrance.
after
The Shining.
The Shining.
Yeah.
Is there anything better than that?
Jack Torrance is a great name, but that's a
Jack
real
Torrance
name.
is a
I
great
could see.
What
somebody
about Elle
being in it.
Woods?
Elle Woods is a good one.
Elle Woods is a great one. You know who Elle Woods is, you know? Like, everybody knows who Elle Woods is.
Yeah.
Although Elle is like kind of a popular name, but
Yeah.
Elle
There
Woods.
probably are many Elle Woodses out there at this point.
But there's only one that we know.
Yeah.
All right, what are some of yours?
Veruca Salt
Yeah,
from Willy Wonka.
that's good. That's also a band name.
Yes. From Boys in the Hood, Furious Styles,
That is a great name.
which is Lawrence Fishburne's character. There's so many in Star Wars, but Han Solo is the best one.
Yeah.
And also in Fast and Furious,
What about Jabba the Hutt?
also great, but not like a name, not a person's name. In the Fast and the Furious, in Tokyo Drift, they introduce a character named Han. I forget his actual last name, but they call him Han Seoul, Seoulo, because he's Korean.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Like from Seoul.
yeah.
What about Baby Yoda?
That's not a name. That's not a person's name. Inigo Montoya.
Oh yeah.
Excellent movie
My
name.
name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die.
Hello. Indiana Jones, of course. That's just a
It's
classic.
the best. Would you name your kid Indiana?
Probably not.
Indy?
Maybe.
It's kind of cute.
Rick Blaine from Casablanca.
Oh, that's cute.
There's probably Rick Blaines out there. Apollo Creed.
So you don't
Apollo
beat
Creed.
it. You don't beat
Listen, Alex, Uncle Alex, Adonis Creed. he kept joking that he wanted to name his son Adonis.
I don't know if he's joking.
I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt here. I think it would be hilarious, but I don't think Kaylee would.
Well, Kaylee wants to name her kid Kaylee, so.
Which is also genius. At first I hated Edna Mode, but now I love it.
Edna
From
Mode.
The Incredibles.
Yep.
The most Fargo name of all time is Marge Gunderson.
So good.
That is an incredible. That name is the perfect Fargo name.
That is.
That's
Don't you know?
Frances
McDormand.
What else do I
What
have
about
here?
The Big Lebowski?
I wrote. Funny you say that. I actually didn't write him, but Walter Sobchak is another great one,
That
which is
is
John
good.
Goodman in that movie. But
What about Derek Zoolander?
Hansel?
What about Mugatu?
Mugatu, yes. The other one that I have is from Escape from New York. Kurt Russell's character, Snake Plissken.
Oh, I have
First one that came to mind was Snake Plissken.
What about Meet the Parents? What's his name? Greg Fokker?
Greg Fokker. Gaylord Fokker.
Oh, yeah. That is yeah.
Yes.
But he goes by Greg.
He does go by Greg.
Yeah.
In the first one. I think he doesn't in the other ones. Because
Oh, he doesn't? He's taking
accepts
back
it.
his name?
Yes.
That's beautiful, actually.
Yeah.
What about Jackie Moon?
Jackie Moon.
What about-
Michael Corleone is another one.
Oh, yeah. What about Ricky Bobby? You're giving, like, classic names.
Ron Burgundy.
Yeah, that is true.
Oh,
Buddy
man.
the Classic.
Beautiful. Happy Gilmore.
How did we go from Kaiser Sose to Buddy the Elf? Oh, no, I got one. Julia Gulia.
Julia Gulia. Oh
From,
my.
Wedding Singer.
Wedding Singer. That is it, yeah. We'll end with Julia Gulia on this question. Unless you have any more.
No,
Okay.
I'm done.
I want to compare some of the chemistry in some of the movies that we've covered. So there's 3 movies that Point Break and 2 others that I think sort of fit the same vibe. It's Point Break, it's Roadhouse, which we've talked about a bit already, and it's Top Gun. So I want to compare the chemistry between the couples. We've got Johnny and Tyler in this. We've got Maverick and Charlie, played by Kelly McGillis.
That's a
Obviously,
hard pass
Maverick,
on
I'm
me.
not going to say that it was Tom Cruise. And Dalton and Doc, played by Kelly Lynch in Roadhouse. I want you to tell me, maybe compare and contrast, or tell me like what's your favorite, who's your least favorite.
There's no favorite, to be honest.
Kelly McGillis and Tom Cruise are the worst.
They are the worst. That
Uh,
blue scene, we can't do it.
Just awful. Even the elevator scene, we can't
The
do
elevator scene, all of it is bad.
it. Horrible. I also thought that Roadhouse, the chemistry was bad.
It was terrible.
But I don't think the chemistry was terrible between Johnny and Tyler in this. I just don't like the character. I don't like they don't work together.
I agree with you. I do. I understand
She's a plot
some of the
device.
stuff, and I do like that there's a different take on it. I think having a female director makes it a little
Maybe that is why it
more
edges above
interesting.
the other two.
But I actually disliked Lori Petty's character.
Yeah. There was no reason for her to be how she was. But on the other hand, all 3 of these movies also have chemistry between male leads.
Yes.
April is now trying to get up on the thing, but okay, come on up. So there's, in my opinion, the leads have better chemistry with the male characters in all 3 movies.
100%.
So why don't we do the same thing with Maverick and Goose,
Mhm.
Top Gun, Maverick and Iceman,
Yeah.
Top Gun. Dalton and Wade Garrett, who was Sam Elliott, which is another great movie name in Roadhouse, and Johnny and Bodie in this movie.
I mean, Johnny and Bodie is all time.
Johnny and Bodie, I put number 1.
They're an all time. Then I would probably say Maverick and Iceman.
Me too. Yes, absolutely. Just the end scene with those two.
It's so good.
Yeah,
Then Dalton and Wade.
I'd have the same exact.
And
four.
then Maverick and Goose at the bottom. Not that I dislike Maverick and Goose, but
No.
I think Goose and Meg Ryan have great chemistry.
I think that all 4 of these pairs have great chemistry.
Yeah. I actually find it super kind of sweet that there's a lot of movies from the 80s ish,
Dudes rock
90s
movies.
that are just like, hey man, dudes rock. Like, I kind of love that. It's kind of sweet.
Yeah, and I think that all of these
Now, yes, do those movies lead to throats being ripped out and people like dying in 50-foot waves and what? But yeah, okay.
and Sam Elliott getting like stabbed or whatever.
Yes, those do happen.
Every one of those ends badly except for Maverick and Iceman.
Yeah. They end with
they're
like
friends.
being like, yeah.
And then in Maverick, he goes to see him and they hang out.
Yeah. Yeah, that is so true. Wow.
Of all of these, because that's the only one where they're like diametrically opposed the whole movie.
What's interesting about the Johnny and Bodhi is that they're not friends. You know, they are
They
friends,
are, but they're not.
But they're not. Like, and with
The whole second half of the movie, it's in the open that they're not.
or that they want to be, but they can't.
In another world, maybe they would be.
Yeah, I love that.
Circumstances tore them apart.
Yeah, and that's, I think, super complex and interesting.
Well, I like that Bodhi is able to sort of, he understands Johnny. Like Johnny,
Because they like don't get mad at each other.
throughout the rest of the movie, Johnny is being talked down to by his superior officers. He's being sort of treated like a kid by Gary Busey. But Bodhi sees him as an equal, and he sees him as a person who sort of gets surfing and what surfing means, and which sounds so stupid, but like the connection with the earth and the water. And Keanu is a great actor for this because he gives that sort of vibe off where Keanu feels like he's connected with something higher or it like believes in something higher, and Swayze / Bodhi feel the same way.
Yeah.
I think that's why they work as a pair.
Man, Point Break is so good.
There's a lot going on under the surface here, no pun intended. But like a lot of it is sort of classist as well, with how like the whole idea of the 4 presidents robbing banks, and then they're all talking about like, oh, we robbed you before when we were in office, so what's the difference?
Right.
Like there's little things like that. There's kernels of messaging in this movie that I think are really interesting and fit the characters, because Bodhi is essentially like an outcast in society. He's not somebody who is going to have a 9-to-5 job. He's not somebody who's going to have a wife, have kids. You know, he's just not that type of person.
Right.
And he finds it hard to fit in those types of ways. So he resorted to negative behaviors. He resorted to thrill seeking and stuff that's just going to self-destructive behaviors. Literally self-destructive at the end. But I think that the two of them, Keanu's choices, being a high school quarterback who hurt his knee, to becoming a lawyer, to going into the FBI, is somewhat traditional. It's like you're all American kind of guy.
He said that this was the first, like he said it to Tyler as a way to like just try to like have an in so that she would teach him surfing.
Yeah.
But he says this is the first thing I've ever done for me in my life. And I think he actually really meant it.
I do too. And especially because everything he does when he's undercover is real. He gives his real name.
Yeah, he's such an idiot.
He just tells them where he's living.
Yeah. Not very smart.
He tells them that he was the quarterback for Ohio State.
Yeah. Like, okay.
So, yeah, no, I do think Johnny's being for real, and I think that the two of them play off of each other really well.
Gorge.
And he's for a large part of the movie, until he realized that he was a bank robber, he saw Bodhi as somebody that he could have been in another alternative sort of like universe. I think that's why those two work together, because they're two sides of the same coin.
Yeah. And Patrick Swayze has such soulful eyes.
Yeah. Keanu's are pretty beady, but
he's my king too.
Okay, and so my last question is actually our listener question, and it's from Nick, and you were in the group chat when he texted us.
Yeah.
So he talked about how the plot of Fast and the Furious was almost an exact replica of Point Break, which apparently was purposeful. So the question is, do you think that Point Break could have made 9 sequels? And if so, where would you like to have see it go? Let's pretend, because if Vin Diesel went out to sea at the end of Point Break, he would be alive in the next movie.
That's exactly
so we're going to assume that Bodhi is alive.
Because let's face it, every character, like big character, is either dead or just gone.
Bodhi and Papas are dead. That's it.
Yeah.
That's half the main characters.
Okay. But that's like, no one cares about Tyler. So it would have to be very, very different. Here's my problem.
Well, the second Fast and the Furious was him in Florida with Ludacris and Tyrese, and Vin Diesel wasn't even in it.
But that to me is like, I don't like the Fast and Furious movies.
And then the third one had nothing to do with
exactly. It's just all just dumb. Like nothing has anything to do with it. And I like Point Break. So why would I want a sequel that has nothing to do with what I just watched?
But you can make it whatever you want. I'm saying Fast and Furious was able to do it.
I don't want to. Here's the thing. Johnny Utah, by throwing his FBI badge in the water as he walked away, he said exactly what we were thinking this whole time. Johnny, you're the worst FBI agent
the world has ever seen.
Anyone has ever seen.
Definitely the worst undercover agent.
You give your name, and it's the most memorable name ever. Like, people probably thought he was giving a fake name.
Yeah.
You tell
but
people...
no, because... Yes, but then Bodie was like, no, he was the quarterback for Ohio State.
The second you meet him, you throw him the perfect football throw.
Yes.
So he's automatically
lefty too, which is another thing that is like weird for a quarterback.
You also tell them your address.
Yes.
You also get into a relationship with someone in the group.
Yes.
That's probably a bad idea.
Who was also the ex of Bodie.
You also are late after your rendezvous on the beach, where you just go to sleep on the beach.
Yes.
And then you wake up and you're late to a raid. Then you shoot people.
He also showed up at the precinct with his surfboard and a cutoff t-shirt. We haven't talked about Busey's shirts, but Gary Busey's Hawaiian shirts in this movie are amazing.
Yeah. He also does not give he doesn't do any work.
None. No paperwork.
There's
nothing.
No paperwork.
Zero office work.
They gave the boss nothing.
Zero.
Then they do a raid.
Gary Busey punches the boss in the face.
Yeah, he does
after the
actually.
bank, after the heist at the end.
He also goes and like kills people in this house, and turns out they were not the people. He also then robs a bank.
Yep.
Like, you're bad at this.
A bank where 3 people died.
Where 3 people died. You're just not wearing a mask. You could have been Kennedy.
Yeah, they didn't have a Kennedy mask.
No.
Could have been Ford.
Yeah.
They were missing Ford. That's it. There was an in between there.
There you go. Is Ford that recognizable?
I mean, he was a president of the United States, so maybe at the time.
Maybe
in 91.
So you stink.
He was not a good agent.
So what? Do I want to see him jump out of planes? Yes.
Yes.
But
he's already done that. We've seen him do it twice.
He's already done it. He did it 2 separate times. Like, do I want to see you be an FBI agent anymore? Honestly, it's just not good for anybody.
Well, Paul Walker the same in the first Fast and Furious.
Do I want to see you like surfing? You're not very good at that either.
He was getting better.
He was okay.
He still said at the end, I surf every day. He said it to Bodie.
Okay. I ride the Peloton every day. Does that mean that I'm Allie Love? No.
What about when they were when they first met him and they were like, "You're a lawyer? Lawyers don't surf." And then Bodie points to him and he goes, This one does. I also wrote down another Bodie quote, which was, "If you want the ultimate, you've got to be willing to pay the ultimate price. It's not tragic to die doing what you love."
So
it's like,
true.
dude, just chill.
And then he does.
But that's the beauty of it. But also, like, just relax. Like the one guy being like, "I'm going to die before I'm 30.
Yeah.
And then he does.
He does. And he does.
Yeah. The quotes in this movie are the best.
There's some we can't say.
There's some we can't say, but there's some that I will be saying later as part of my Point Break Live. Not inappropriate.
Not that one.
No, not that one. All right. I just got a couple notes. I wrote...
Wait. What about you? Do you think there should be 10 sequels?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it would... Honestly, it would give us 9 more Patrick Swayze movies.
Yeah, that's
which
true.
I would like.
Wow. All right, I changed my answer.
That was easy.
Me.
Yeah, so I just have a few notes. I wrote, we're 5 seconds into this movie, and it's just a montage of Keanu at target practice and Swayze surfing, and I'm convinced this movie was specifically made for me.
It's so good.
I wrote, it's an all-time hair movie.
The hair is...
all the surfers.
It's flowing.
But it's great because you compare the hair of Bodie and Johnny, and Bodie's is like flowing and all that and like kind of wavy, and Keanu's is long but it's straight and black.
Yeah.
And it's like sort of the buttoned up version of You know?
Tom, this is very Lord of the Flies of you.
What do you mean?
There's a whole. So if you read Lord of the Flies,
They talk
have you
about
read
Point
it?
Break and Lord of the Flies?
No.
I've never read it.
So part of the thing, one of the symbolism things in it is the kids, their hair as it becomes more unkempt, longer, everything like
They're
that.
more primitive.
They're more primitive.
Yeah.
And Piggy,
Yeah.
one of the characters, his hair doesn't grow. And he's kind of oftentimes the one that's bullied.
Ostracized.
Sometimes the voice of reason, sometimes whatever. Yeah.
Well, fortunately for the characters in this movie, all of them had great hair.
Yeah. Not Tyler.
Well, all the guys, I guess.
Yeah.
Except for the captain or whatever he got punched in the face.
Yeah.
So
Did you love Gary Busey's hair?
Busey's hair is beautiful. Knee injury that stopped him from getting drafted into the NFL, so he became a lawyer. Literally me.
Yeah, okay.
It's a little bit of a leap, but
He just needed that one
just those
break.
couple of words in the middle there, that one little clause. I also wrote, we were robbed of a world where Patrick Swayze played an amazing Joker.
Yeah, honestly, like
From
that
this
Reagan
movie?
vibe,
Yeah.
like that he gave when he was wearing the mask and
Yeah.
stuff, and
He was like a different character when he wore the mask.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Honestly, Busey too playing Joker. We didn't get that. Busey's like a real life Joker.
oh my God, be nice.
Oh my God, the second skydiving scene also insane.
There
Okay.
didn't need to be two.
Yeah, I said, you know why I love this movie? It leans so hard into its premise. It's not about bank robbers who surf. It's about surfers who rob banks.
That's right.
And they do it so they can surf more.
Yes.
And they skydive and they have these like pseudo philosophical exchanges. And the ending is in Australia. And it's all this guy wants to do is surf. And he does.
He does it.
It's absolutely perfect.
He surfs.
I just love that it doesn't turn into like a bank robbery movie.
No,
It's about surfing.
they want to surf.
Like in Parks and Rec, it's about the cones. Yeah, so that's all I've got for notes. Oh, I didn't say the taglines. Both of them are on the regular poster.
Okay.
Point
Both?
Break.
They have two?
Yeah.
Okay.
100% pure adrenaline.
That's actually
Which is what they say.
They say it, yeah.
It's about surfing in general, right?
Yeah.
Or at least surfing the big waves or something. And then the other one, 27 banks in 3 years. Anything to catch the perfect wave.
Ooh, that's good.
Yep. All right, what else we got? I'll just do trivia, and then I'll do the Point Break and Roger Ebert after. So my top 5 trivia, I got a lot on Swayze. I sort of combined it all into one. Swayze had never done any skydiving before this, but his brother was an accomplished skydiver. So his brother was always like, oh, you got to do this, and he never did. Until he skydove for this movie. He made 55 jumps in total.
Tom Cruise vibes.
He was told to stop for insurance purposes, doing it separately once production began. There's a shot at the end when he's leaving Johnny up with no parachute in the plane, and he goes, "Adios, amigo," and he like rolls out. That was actually him flying out of the plane.
So cool.
Unbeknownst to the producers, when not on the day's call sheet, Swayze and others would occasionally run out to an airport and go skydiving anyway.
Oh my God.
According to Gary Busey, Swayze was so nuts about skydiving that he actually badgered him until he gave in and agreed to go with him after filming. So Busey and Swayze went skydiving together after this.
Oh my God, I wish I was filmed.
Yeah. Swayze is not the one wearing the Reagan mask during the foot chase sequence, but it's his stunt double because Swayze was in Europe doing press for Ghost. Because Swayze, like, notably always wanted to do all his own stunts and as much as he could, so he would have obviously been there running away. When Bodie is introduced to Johnny on the beach, he remarks that Utah's surfboard reminds him of a 57 Chevy he used to have. Swayze drove a 57 Chevy in Dirty Dancing. Also, Johnny mentioned a restaurant called Patrick's Roadhouse, often attributed to an in-joke aimed at Patrick Swayze, but it's a real place.
Yay.
In Santa Monica, and it's on the Pacific Coast Highway, which would be a reasonably logical place for them to have a meal.
I love that.
Second unit director and stunt coordinator Glenn R. Wilder held fight training sessions for the cast on weekends because Bigelow wanted the actors to do their own fights without stuntmen. Anthony Kiedis was allegedly the only cast member to miss this training, so Wilder had his character knocked out with one punch during the first fight sequence in the movie.
Makes it easy.
The members of the ex-presidents are killed in chronological order of when their respective presidents served in office.
Wow.
Yeah. The film. Okay, so I'll just go into Point Break Live as my, or no, I'll do casting and then okay. So Ridley Scott was the first choice to direct,
Oh, okay.
but he ended up doing Thelma and Louise instead, which I'm sure was a good choice for him because that's apparently a great one.
Yep.
And I noted that Catherine Bigelow fought to have Keanu cast. The studio and producers were interested in looking at higher profile actors like Johnny Depp. Matthew Broderick was offered the role. Charlie Sheen, Willem Dafoe, and Val Kilmer as well. And Patrick Swayze actually auditioned for Johnny as well.
Huh.
Yeah.
It's a who's who.
Yeah. A lot of these seem to be, where it's like,
Yeah.
oh, they were considered,
Yeah,
somebody
right.
probably said it at one meeting. Okay. So, yeah. Point Break Live was credited sometimes as the first ever reality play. So, it was like a very low budget sort of thing where these like it was like a local, like your local like stand-up improv group.
Mhm.
They would put on a performance of Point Break on stage. They would do the skydiving portion where there's like a fan blowing up and they're sort of hanging from the ceiling. They would do surfing. You would show up in a poncho and they would spray you with like blood and water. But the thing that set it apart was that they would, every time they would come out and they would say, we're all ready to put on Point Break, but our Johnny Utah didn't show up. So can anyone in the audience, do you want to be Johnny Utah? And of course, there's people, some people say they were ringers, but whatever. So they would bring up like 5 or 6 people and you got to do a couple things and they do like the applause-o-meter and they decide based on whoever gets the most applause. So they bring up a bunch of people and all of them just have to go, I'm Johnny Utah, like in like whatever way they want to do it. So whoever gets picked, they tell them to just look into the camera and they just have to give like a blank stare, like a Keanu stare.
Stop.
So throughout the performance, they read their lines from, there's a production member standing next to them and they just give them cue cards and it's all like the one-liners.
Yeah.
So they just sort of, it seems like people just like blankly stared and then they just said the line in like the most wooden way possible and everyone like goes nuts. Everyone went insane in every little video that I saw for the line, I am an FBI agent. And everyone just goes nuts and like chants it along with them. They do the skydiving scene. The robbery scenes, they run through the crowd and they run outside and around the building. And at the end, the entire crowd screams the last line that Keanu says to Swayze when he sends him off into the ocean. Vaya con Dios.
Yeah, why was that? Why did he say that?
It was at one point the longest running stage show taking place in
Wait,
Hollywood.
Does that mean go with God?
Yeah. There was an ABC Nightline feature that I watched on this. It was like 2 minutes long. And it had the writer who went, the screenwriter went, Catherine Bigelow went. So it started in Seattle, actually, and it had a 2-week run, and then it was extended to a 2-month run because so many people loved it. So it ended up touring. It went to Minneapolis, Brooklyn, Manhattan, Philly, Hartford, Vegas, San Francisco, Chicago, even Panama, the country.
Amazing.
It had its longest run in LA, where it ran in Hollywood for 9 years from 2007 to 2016. It was supposed to run in California in March 2020, but obviously that got canceled due to COVID. It looks like they did it at a theater in Portland back in March and April.
Yeah.
So hopefully someone will bring it to New York or Philly.
And then we're coming.
And we're definitely going. So there's a video. Kirsten Dunst and Justin Long were there, like went to, and like people saw them there. Keanu talked about it on Dan Patrick's podcast when he was promoting John Wick, and he told him all about it. He was like quoting it and stuff. Like he clearly loves it. He said that the line he hears the most is people yell at him when Busey goes, I need 2 meatball sandwiches, Utah. I need 2.
Yeah.
He said people yell that line at him all the time.
There's a couple of things there. Like they mention specific food orders.
Yeah.
He said like, I need shrimp and fries.
Shrimp and fries. And you were like, shrimp and fries.
Like what? And then he ordered, it was 2 meatball sandwiches, a tuna sandwich, and 2 drinks.
Busey did that line at the live show when he went, and everyone went nuts. What else here? There's a video of Lori Petty showing up and playing Johnny Utah.
That's fun.
Yeah. Yeah, so that is Point Break live, and you watch the videos and you could picture yourself there in the crowd, like cracking up, because they play it like a comedy,
Right.
where they go all in on the crazy lines and on the surfing and the surfers in the background and all that. So hopefully it comes back and comes to New York and Philly, so that we can see it, and then we will do a whole episode on Point Break live.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so that's that. So we'll do the Roger Ebert review. As we mentioned, he loved it. He gave it 3.5 stars out of 4.
Amazing.
I wrote 3.5 stars out of 4, and then in all caps, yes.
Yes.
He wrote, "The Bodhi tree, according to the Buddhists, is the tree beneath which one finds enlightenment. That is not exactly how it works with Bodhi, the surfing bank robber who is the existential hero of Point Break, but he is such a persuasive character that a young FBI agent falls under his spell." Later, he says, "Point Break is not the kind of movie where we should spend a lot of time analyzing the motives of the characters. Once Johnny realizes, for example, that Bodhi knows he's an FBI agent, should he really go skydiving with him and let Bodhi pack the chute? Such questions are fruitless because the movie has Utah trapped in Bodhi's spell, in which everything, free-falling, surfing, robbing banks, is part of catching the wave of life, looking for that endless ride. Bigelow is an interesting director for this material. She is interested in the ways her characters live dangerously for philosophical reasons. They aren't men of action, but men of thought who choose action as a way of expressing their beliefs. That adds an intriguing element to their characters and makes the final confrontation in this movie as meaningful as it can be, given the admittedly preposterous nature of the material. Bigelow and her crew are also gifted filmmakers. There's a foot chase scene through the streets, yards, and alleys and living rooms of Santa Monica, 2 skydiving sequences with virtuoso photography, powerful chemistry between the good and evil characters, and an ominous, brooding score by Mark Isham that underlines the mood. The plot of Point Break, summarized, invites parody. Rookie agent goes undercover as surfer to catch bank robbers. The result is surprisingly effective." Ebert got it.
He got it.
I'm very glad that he got it, because
Of course he did.
This movie's the best. I think that's all I have.
I love
I think
it.
that's Point Break. So does Point Break make Baby's first watch list?
Yeah.
When?
Now.
No. I read that this movie said the F word like over 100 times or something.
No, I didn't get that.
Maybe it wasn't over 100, but it said, I read something like that. Point Break F word. I'm pretty sure it says it, maybe not 100, but there's a lot.
Oh, I didn't even notice.
Yeah, neither did I. Well, he says it 4 times when he shoots into the air. 94 uses of the F word.
What?
Yeah.
I thought maybe 2.
94.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so not for a
It
bit.
doesn't feel like that at all.
No.
You know, like some movies like Wolf of Wall Street, you're like, okay.
But I feel like that was done sort of as a, like on purpose.
Of course.
And
but
Scarface,
you
too.
notice
Isn't that Blink 182 for the amount of times that they say the F word in Scarface? Isn't that 182?
Is that true?
I think it is. Or I read that. I don't know if it's actually true.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I agree. It's definitely going to make Baby's first watch list. What are your takeaways from this movie? Don't be allured by a guy who like surfs and robs banks.
I think it's, at a younger age, maybe try and do things for you.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to be caught up and get caught up in things that you don't need to be caught up in, because you've tried to, follow what other people want you to do your whole life. And then now you're going to go a little crazy.
Yeah. It's like sort of the people who go crazy their freshman year of college.
Exactly.
I hope to raise him in a way where he doesn't feel the need to do that.
Right. So just follow your heart younger.
Yeah.
That would be mine.
I agree. And I also think that if you think something is too good to be true, you should probably question it a bit more.
Yeah.
Keanu probably should have figured out a long time before he figured out that Bodhi was the leader of ex-presidents.
Sweet baby angel. Yeah.
But whatever. He made it through. A lot of people around him didn't, but he made it through.
That's right.
Yeah, so that's Point Break. It's an excellent movie. I'm very glad we watched it. Next up, we have 21 Jump Street.
Yep.
Many of you I know have seen 21 Jump Street already. Send us questions if you have anything you want us to talk about. Again, DM us on Instagram. We're on Threads. I don't think you can DM us, but you can, thread at us or whatever it is. Or text us or email us at babiesfirstwatchlist@gmail.com. We want to get people involved. We like to... we actually had a really good clip on Instagram the other day, 23,000 views, which is really awesome. By
Yay.
far the most we've ever had. So if there's anyone new listening to this, thank you. If not, if you're old, thank you too. But yeah, so give us your questions or even just comments. Like if there's something about 21 Jump Street that you like or don't like, let us know and we'll talk about it.
Yep.
So that's next week. And then next week we will also give out our schedule for September already.
I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah. So this was Point Break. Next week's 21 Jump Street. So join us then.
Goodbye.
See you later.